Hi guys, welcome back to GP Reactions. Continuing my Halloween themed songs. Yeah, it's great. I'm really enjoying doing these Halloween themed songs because it's kind of bringing me to new artists that, even though I know their names, I know that their place in history, and I know the decades that they were active in. I've really never listened to some of these people before. So yeah, I'm hoping that these new artists don't get blocked, and this is definitely a new one to me. Yeah, I'm going to be listening to a track by Donovan. It's called "Season of a Witch." This track was actually taken from the album Sunshine Superman, which was released on 26th of August 1966. Now, I have heard the track Sunshine Superman, so I think I've heard of that track. I couldn't tell you how it went. So I almost don't know anything about this artist. So you know what? Without further ado, I'm going to click play and see what Donovan has to bring. I like the idea of there being a season for the witch. So I'm thinking that this is closely tied to my Halloween theme. And I think this is vinyl as well, so there may be a little bit of snap, crackle and pop on this if that's the kind of thing you enjoy. Quite laid back.
When I look out my window, many sights to see. And when I look in my window, so many different people to be, that it's strange, so strange. You got to pick up every stitch. You got to pick up every stitch. You got to pick up every stitch. Must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch, yeah. Must be the season of the witch.
This is great.
When I look over my shoulder, what do you think I see? Summer cat looking over his shoulder at me, and he's strange, sure is strange. You got to pick up every stitch. You got to pick up every stitch, yeah. Beatniks out to make it rich. Oh no, look out my window, what do you think I see? And when I look in my window, so many different people to be. It's strange, sure is strange. You got to pick up every stitch. You got to pick up every stitch. The rabbits running in the ditch. Oh no, must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch, yeah. Must be the season of the witch. Where'd I go? Where'd I go?
So guys, that was Donovan with Season of the Witch. Apparently this was the original LP sound, so I'm assuming that's the original LP. This was a really, really great track. It felt really laid back and chilled, and yeah, it didn't feel overdone in any shape or form, but it felt like we had the right measure of the instruments, the vocals, everything was just playing its little part. It was quite subtle. Less is more, and I really, really just enjoyed the vibe and the whole mood of his. And the composition was so chilled out. His voice is great. It is the first time I've heard his voice. I loved the fact he was like talking, and then his voice just went soaring, and the guitars did that as well. They sort of gently sort of tinkled along in the background, and then and it was like a real delicate sound of the guitar and the bass, both playing out a role in drawing the song along. Yeah, and there was also a really interesting organ sound. I did make a note of the time that this was on, so that was 2:55, I think it was, around about that point. Let's have a listen to this. I know I wasn't trying to figure out what kind of organ this was. I'm sure there's people out there who would know exactly what this is, and you can tell me in the comments. I like to hear about instruments and stuff, and maybe how they're used or when they're used. I don't always remember the information, but bit by bit things kind of like drop in, so it kind of gives me more ability to talk about the music rather than just say the organ. But in this case, I think it's right here.
You got to pick up every.
Let's just take that back. And it's really interesting because that sound, it didn't sound overbearing either. It just sounded just the right amount. And then you had the small guitar pieces that would kind of come in and just suddenly soar a bit. It really felt chilled out. It felt like waves on lapping on the shore. Some of these sounds. I'm not sure whether that was the intended effect of the song. Let me just find out.
You got to pick up. Oh no, must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch.
So I really like this soaring guitar as well.
Must be the season of the witch.
And then back down to the mellowness of the song. Yeah, it's a great song. I'm not entirely sure what it was about. I started off thinking it was maybe literally about the Season of the Witch, something to do with maybe Halloween or something, but I think there was a lot more going on, to be honest. I think the dark magic often resides in us all, and what we think is a curse is often us cursing ourselves, our own behaviour. So let's have a quick look at the lyrics. When I look out my window, many sights to see, and when I look in my window, so many different people to be. So is that kind of like the idea that we are different characters for different people, or is that the idea that we have some people have multiple personalities in a sort of schizophrenic kind of fashion? That is strange. It's so strange. You've got to pick up every stitch. You've got to pick up every stitch. You've got to pick up every stitch. Must be the season of a witch. Must be the season of a witch, yeah. So then picking up every stitch, I think that is something to do with Wicca or witchcraft. But also there's an idea of like you must pick up every stitch, and it repeats that 3 times. Gives me the idea of like obsession, like compulsion, maybe an OCD disorder, or maybe just kind of paranoia that if you don't do something, bad things will happen. When I was younger, I used to walk down the road avoiding the cracks in the pavement because in my head, I'd kind of weirdly worked out that I could sort of control my my fate by offering up this kind of behaviour to whoever, and it was a little bit of like an obsession, a compulsion to do that. When I look over my shoulder, what do you think I see? Some other cat looking over his shoulder at me, and he's strange. Sure, it's strange. You've got to pick up every stitch. You've got to pick up every stitch. Beatniks are out to make it rich. Oh no, must be the season of which. So I mean, again, beatniks are out to make it rich. Is that like these people are like exploiting you, or a situation, or a 1966? It could be the movement, the peace movement, maybe that people are profiteering off it. I'm trying to kind of like link this into what was going on in the 60s. When I look out my window, what do you think I see? When I look at my window, so as I can repeat it. So, yeah, it's a really mellow song. I think it's a little bit about being a little bit paranoid, and for sure they were taking some interesting substances back then. And I do remember something along the lines of the Beatles getting busted for drugs, and this was like the same week as Donovan got busted. And I didn't know what Donovan was, whether it was a band or a person. I'm still assuming that it's one person because I didn't sort of see anybody else in the band. But yeah, it's a really cool track, really mellow track, and I really, really enjoyed my introduction to this guy, and I kind of look forward to maybe listening to some more of his stuff. I could certainly lie back, close my eyes on a warm sunny day and just put this album on. I'm just imagining that to be the scenario. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think of Donovan. If you were around in the 60s, I would love to hear from you guys as to whether you lived through these tracks of that time. For sure, there's quite a lot of innovation, I'm guessing, in some of the music of mid to late 60s, probably more so than the beginning of the 60s to the mid 60s. And we were really kind of heading into the psychedelia, it feels, of those times. So yeah, it'd be great to hear from people who maybe bought this album even, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So till next time, take care of yourselves. Have a great day, have a great week, and for sure I'm going to be back with some more groovy Halloween music. And do you know what? It has given me fortune now to do a lot more music from the 60s as well. It's definitely a genre that I want to explore, and it will have its moment, I'm sure. Nearly rhymed.